Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and make my succulents. Now I'm gonna show you two ways to make them. One with the Ultimate Filler Flower mold and one just straight by hand. I have some pre-dried ones so that I can show you dusting and assembling. I have my Nicholas Lodge size guide, my Ultimate Filler Flower mold, some edible glue, some 28 gauge wire cut in quarters, some dusting brushes, moss green from the Sugar Art, aubergine from Crystal Colors. There would be an equivalent of either of these brands and whatever you're using. PME glaze spray, some half-width floral tape, Hamilworth half-width floral tape, and a wire cutters. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make all our succulent little buds. So I have my edible glue and I have my paste. My paste has been tinted with Gooseberry Pro Gel, but avocado Americolor, something along those lines. Just something nice and light. You could also do something similar by doing a little bit of a regular green you have and bringing it down with a little bit of ivory, or bringing it down with some yellow. The yellow will give it that kind of greeny yellow color, and the ivory will help mute the color a little bit. So I like to make sure that my paste is nice and soft, and if you're having trouble with it sticking, you can use a little bit of cornstarch or shortening. And I'm going to start by rolling a ball in the palm of my hands, okay, and just pressing down on one end, and that's it. Now if you feel you need that extra security of using a needle nose pliers to hook your wire, by all means do. I don't find these need them, so I don't worry about it. Take off the excess glue and insert, and then I just kind of roll just a little bit down, okay? And I make them a whole bunch of different sizes. I like a nice light wire because we're making what is called a string of pearls succulent, and they're very droopy, they're very hangy. There's so many string of whatnots succulents out there. There's string of bananas, there's string of pearls, there's string of dolphins, there's string of turtles. I saw one about pickles the other day. I'm kind of in love with succulents right now, so they're my little collection. So you could make them in all different shapes. So that's just your teardrop. You could make, these ones would be kind of similar to if you looked online and searched string of bananas, the shape that they come in. And those ones are neat because they come in purple as well. And then these guys, just kind of like as a hanging, they're kind of got a little ball on the end. You can do whatever you like. I just wanted to show you some different shapes, but we're gonna focus on the little teardrop ones that I'm making for the string of pearls. So I make a whole bunch, tons, 30, 40, as many as you can get done. You could also do them with the Ultimate Filler Flower mold, okay? So to do that, now the succulents are very rounded on the end, but just as a filler for buds, these would be great. I'm using these two cavities here. One, I use this one, and I use this one. And I ended up using a size 6 ball, if you're looking on here, and a size 5 ball for the smaller one. So size 5 and a little bit larger. A size 6, and I'm sure you're getting used to Nicholas saying that it sits above for kind of the regular size 6 ball. Okay, now if you're having trouble with this sticking, again, some cornstarch, corn flour, or shortening. I'm just gonna press it into the mold. Okay. And I like to form it into a little bit of a cone coming out, and then pop it out. So these are more if you want to have one that's got those indentations like it would turn into a bloom. Put your wire in again. If you want to hook your wire, if that makes you more comfortable, go for it. And I just give them a little smooth down, especially if you find you have a little bit of a line where the edge of the mold was. Just give it a little roll between your fingers. Okay, and you're gonna want to let these all dry either overnight or hang them in the dehydrator if you have a dehydrator. I like to make sure there's no seams. Okay, and then you could even do the smaller ones as well, but I stuck with the 2 sizes. Nice, and I like to try and make sure it's not squishing over the sides right away so that I know it's going to be a smooth transition from where the bud is to the flower, to the stem. Okay, so you make a whole bunch of those and let them dry. Oops. A little smooth down. Okay, put our paste aside, and I have some dried ones here. So put our wires out of the way, and our paste out of the way, and our glue out of the way. And succulents come in all different, they come in highlights of pink, highlights of purple, some are just greens. So I thought I would do something with a highlight of purple on this, because the other central leaf that I've used in my foliage arrangement, I did highlight with a little bit of the purpley aubergine color. So I wanted to bring that in somewhere else in my design. So this is for my succulents. And if you're going to be very particular because it's for a competition or something, you might want to sit there and dust them each individually. But because we need to work most likely for consumers and for retail, I generally try to do a whole bunch at once. So I hold them all flat in a row, tap off as much of the color as I can, and then kind of brush from the bottom up. I try to never go just straight down with my bristles because you get a very harsh color. And then flip and do the other side. And these are really like for a highlight of color, so it doesn't have to hit everywhere. And then from the top down, I'm going to do a little bit of the moss green. Okay. Same thing if you were going to do the ones with the Flower Pro bud, you might want to dust a little bit right in the seams with a thinner brush with the color of whatever your flower is that's going to go with these. But just a nice spray hanging of buds makes a great filler, as opposed to always filling with leaves or coming up with another flower like a hydrangea or something to fill in with. You can use just different types of buds and foliage to fill. So put those aside, dust a few more so that I can make an arrangement for you. Tap off lots of the dust. And just a highlight of the purple, the aubergine, and you'll really see it pop when we glaze these. Oop. And I'm not super concerned with where it lands. Everyone's going to be different. I'm not worried if there's one that just barely gets the color. They're all at different stages. Okay, so put our dust aside. And then we're going to go ahead and start assembling these. So I have my half width Hamilworth tape. Give it a good stretch to release the glue. And I want to kind of put these in order of smallest to largest. And I mean, if you look at an actual string of pearls, they kind of have these different clusters that start at different places all over, so you don't have to put them in perfect order. But if you've got really big ones like this guy, I'll put this at the back. And these I didn't portion out sizes with the size chart. I just made them all as I went, but I wouldn't probably go too much smaller than a large 3 or a small size 4, and I probably wouldn't go any bigger than about a size 6 if you're using the size guide. Okay. Now, when I do these, because they get really hangy, I like to cut the wire as I go. If I were to tape all these together, as I get down to the bottom, the wire is going to get really thick and stiff, and I want them to drape and fall and hang a little bit. I'm going to tape a little and twist up, and they're really tight together. So right at the stem, I'm not pre-taping each of these wires individually because I am taping them together right at the base of the bud. If you were going to see any of this wire stick out, I would maybe individually tape each of the buds, but because we're taping them right together, I'm not going to. So now as I go, I'm going to start to trim off the wires. Now you could go and trim them all really short right away. The only reason I don't is because after making a whole bunch of these, I find if I've got a little bit more to hold on to as I'm starting, I tend to fare a little bit better with my taping job. Okay, and they can go on any side. You want them to kind of go all over. Okay, cut some more wires. Tape them in. There can be bigger gaps and smaller gaps. Give it a twist. Remember, you're always making sure you've got your tape stretched out to release the glue. Getting too many big gaps now. Okay. And you can make really, really long strands of them to really trail down your cake. And then I like to have a few accents of just shorter strands like this, because then you can overlap them a little bit. Okay. So this is our string of pearls succulent. I'm going to trim off the wire a little bit. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a box and I'm going to spray them with spray glaze. Okay. And that's going to be my succulents.